Two people, same city, same year, both walked into a bank and borrowed money. The first person borrowed $320,000. The second person borrowed $28,000. 5 years later, the first person's debt made them $180,000 richer. The second person's debt cost them $14,000 they will never see again. Same bank, same act of borrowing, completely opposite outcomes. Here is the question nobody asks. What did each person borrow for? Welcome to Dollar Decoded. Debt is not good or bad by itself. Debt is a tool, and like any tool, it builds wealth in the right hands and destroys it in the wrong ones. Stay with me until the net worth calculation, because the number separating two identical households is going to reframe every borrowing decision you will ever make. Let's get into it. Before anything else, one number that reframes this entire conversation. According to the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, the wealthiest 1% of Americans hold approximately $1.08 trillion in debt. $1.08 trillion. The richest people in the country drowning in debt, right? Wrong. That same survey shows the net worth of the top 1% is approximately $38 trillion. They borrowed $1.08 trillion and turned it into $38 trillion in net worth. That is not a debt problem. That is a debt strategy. Here is the framework that explains everything. Good debt is borrowed money that generates more value than it costs. Bad debt is borrowed money that generates less value or no value at all while still charging you interest. Two sentences, but the gap between them, according to Federal Reserve data, is the primary driver of growing wealth inequality in America today. Quick question before we go further. Which type of debt do you think you currently carry more of? Keep that answer in mind. By the end of this video, you may think differently. Good debt has three characteristics. It acquires an appreciating asset, something that grows in value over time. It generates income or builds equity while you hold it, and the return on that asset consistently exceeds the interest rate on the debt. Bad debt has three characteristics too. It finances a depreciating asset, something losing value the moment you use it. It generates no income while you hold it, and the interest rate consistently exceeds any possible return. The wealthy use the first type almost exclusively. The middle class uses the second, not because they choose to, but because the financial system is specifically designed to make the second type feel exactly like the first. According to the Federal Reserve's most recent data, total U.S. household debt stands at $17.5 trillion. Here's how that breaks down, and this breakdown is the most revealing data point in this entire video. Mortgage debt, $12.44 trillion, primarily held by homeowners building equity in appreciating assets. Student loan debt, $1.6 trillion, borrowed to increase earning capacity. Auto loan debt, $1.61 trillion, financing assets losing 20% of their value in year one alone, according to Carfax data, at an average 7.7% interest rate, according to Experian. Credit card debt, $1.17 trillion, primarily held by middle and lower income households at an average APR of 22%, financing consumption, generating zero return. Do you see the pattern? The wealthiest Americans concentrate in mortgage debt, borrowing to own appreciating assets. The middle class concentrates in auto loans and credit cards, borrowing to own depreciating assets or finance consumption entirely. Same act of borrowing, completely different outcomes, and the system that created this divide profits from it every single month. Real estate, the most powerful good debt. A household with $80,000 in savings put $60,000 down on a $300,000 rental property in 2019. They borrowed $240,000 at a 4% fixed rate, monthly payment of approximately $1,145. The property generates $1,800 per month in rental income. After mortgage payment, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance, they net approximately $300 to $400 per month in cash flow. According to the Federal Housing Finance Agency, U.S. home prices have appreciated an average of 8.4% annually since 2012. At that rate, their $300,000 property is worth approximately $443,000 5 years later. Their original $60,000 down payment, leveraged through debt, has generated $143,000 in equity appreciation, plus $18,000 to $24,000 in net rental income over 5 years. That is $161,000 to $167,000 return on a $60,000 investment through borrowed money, while someone else paid the mortgage. Here is the math that makes this good debt. The debt cost 4% annually. The asset returned 8.4% annually. The spread between those two numbers, multiplied by the asset's value, is wealth creation on autopilot. Ask yourself this: how many of your current debts have a return that exceeds their interest rate? If you cannot answer that immediately, this video was made for you.
Business investment. Good debt at its purest. According to the Small Business Administration, small business owners who use SBA loans to fund expansion generate an average revenue increase of 20% within 3 years of borrowing. A restaurant owner borrows $150,000 at 6.5% to open a second location. Annual interest costs approximately $9,750. Annual revenue from the second location, $380,000. Net profit margin at 15%, $57,000 per year. Cost of debt, $9,750. Return on debt, $57,000. The debt paid for itself in less than 5 months and continues generating $47,000 in annual profit above its own costs indefinitely. That is good debt in its purest form. The borrowed money does not just pay for itself, it multiplies. Education. Good debt with conditions. According to Bureau of Labor Statistics data, the median weekly earnings for a worker with a bachelor's degree is $1,305 versus $809 for a worker with only a high school diploma. That is $496 more per week, $25,792 more per year, every single year of a career. A $40,000 student loan at 5% interest costs approximately $424 per month over 10 years. Total interest paid, approximately $10,880. Total additional lifetime earnings from the degree at a 35-year career, approximately $902,720. The $40,000 debt generated $902,720 in additional income. The return dwarfs the cost by a factor of 22. That is good debt, but notice the condition. The degree must lead to income that exceeds the debt cost. Education debt without a clear income pathway flips from good to bad instantly. The structure matters more than the category. The pattern in good debt. Every single example has the same structure. Money is borrowed. Money acquires something that generates value. The value generated exceeds the cost of the debt. Wealth increases. The wealthy understand this structure intuitively because they learned it early from parents, communities, and financial advisors who explained the rules of a system designed to reward those who already know them. The car loan, America's most expensive normal decision. Bad debt does not feel like bad debt when you take it on. It feels like a solution. The average new car payment in America is $772 a month, according to Experian. The average loan term is now 69 months, nearly 6 years. A $40,000 car financed at 7.7% over 69 months costs $14,416 in interest alone. But here's what makes this bad debt and not just expensive debt. The moment you drove that car off the lot, it lost approximately 10% of its value, according to Carfax depreciation data. By year 5, it's worth approximately 40% of what you paid. You paid $54,416 total for an asset now worth $16,000. The debt cost $14,416 in interest, and the asset lost $24,000 in value simultaneously. Total financial damage, $38,416 on one car purchase, while making every single monthly payment on time and on schedule. Now, compare this directly to the real estate example. Same borrowed money, completely opposite outcome. One borrowed $240,000 and ended up $167,000 richer. One borrowed $40,000 and ended up $38,416 poorer. The difference is not discipline, it's not intelligence, it's the structure of what the debt financed. Does your car payment feel different right now than it did 10 minutes ago? Credit card debt, the wealth extraction machine. $1.17 trillion in credit card debt, Average APR, 22%. Average balance per household carrying debt, approximately $7,951, according to TransUnion Q4 2023 data. A household carrying $7,951 making only minimum payments at 22% APR will take approximately 20 years to pay it off. Total paid back, approximately $18,000 for $7,951 worth of purchases. But here's the angle nobody shows you. That same $7,951 invested at 8% annually for 20 years is $37,135. The credit card did not just cost $10,049 in excess interest, it cost $37,135 in foregone investment growth simultaneously. Total real cost, $47,202 from one $7,951 credit card balance carried for 20 years. That is not a credit card bill. That is a wealth extraction machine, legally operating inside your wallet, approved by an algorithm designed by people who understand compound interest far better than most of their customers. Buy now, pay later. The new bad debt in disguise. According to a 2023 report by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Americans made $180 billion in buy now, pay later purchases in 2022, up from $24 billion in 2019. The average BNPL user has 4 active BNPL loans simultaneously. BNPL feels free because the interest is hidden in late fees or charged only on missed payments, but the CFPB report found that BNPL users are significantly more likely to be overdebted, to have lower credit scores, and to carry higher balances on other forms of debt simultaneously. BNPL is not a payment solution. It's a consumption accelerator designed to make you spend more than you would with cash on things generating zero financial return, funded by debt costing you directly through fees or indirectly through the purchases it enables. Have you used BNPL in the last 6 months? If yes, ask yourself honestly, what did it allow you to buy that you could not otherwise afford? And what is that thing worth today?
Here's the calculation I promised at the beginning. 2 households, both 35 years old, both earning $85,000 per year, both managing finances for 10 years since graduating. Both took on debt. The type of debt they chose is the only difference between them. Household 1 runs the bad debt path. Credit card balance of $7,951 at 22% APR. Minimum payments, $200 per month going to interest. Car loan of $40,000 at 7.7%, $772 per month, asset depreciating simultaneously. No investments, no equity, no appreciating assets. Net worth after 10 years, approximately negative $8,000 to zero, depending on remaining balances. Total wealth built, $0. Household 2 runs the good debt path. Mortgage of $240,000 at 4%, $1,145 per month, building equity in an appreciating asset. Small business loan of $50,000 at 6.5%, generating $25,000 annual profit above its own cost. No credit card balance, used car owned outright. Net worth after 10 years, home equity of approximately $140,000 from appreciation and principal paydown, business value of approximately $200,000 based on 8x annual profit multiple, investment account from business cash flow of approximately $85,000 at 8% growth, total net worth approximately $425,000. Same income, same age, same 10 years. $425,000 difference, based entirely on the structure of the debt each household chose or was led toward in their 20s and 30s. The uncomfortable truth the data reveals. According to the Federal Reserve's distributional financial accounts, the top 10% of American households own 93% of all stocks, 89% of all business equity, and 80% of all investment real estate. These are the good debt assets, appreciating, income generating, wealth compounding. The bottom 50% own 2% of stocks, 3% of business equity, and 6% of investment real estate, but they hold a disproportionate share of credit card debt, auto loan debt, and payday loan debt. The system did not accidentally sort itself this way. The rules were written by people who understood the game, and they wrote them for the people already playing it. You are not bad with money if you have bad debt. You were handed a financial system designed to make bad debt feel like the only available option, and good debt feel like something other people can access. But here is what is also true. The structure of good debt is not a secret anymore. You just saw it. The math is public. The data is available. Before you borrow anything next, ask one question. Will this debt acquire something that grows in value and generates income, or will it finance something that shrinks in value and generates nothing? That single question, applied consistently, is the entire financial strategy of the wealthiest households in America. You do not need their income to start asking it. You just need to start. If this gave you a new way of thinking about money, subscribe to Dollar Decoded. Every week, we break down the real mechanics of how money actually works, backed by data, not opinions. No fluff, no filler. Just the truth about a system that profits from you not knowing it. I will see you in the next one.